for the 3 points. Manchester City are still alive here. Balotelli, Aguero!
Hello football fans, it's another episode of The Football Therapist. I'm your host, Ramy. Once again, I have Yehia and Haytham here. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. Champions League drama, Atalanta completely imploding against Liverpool by losing 5-0, but that is also, compared to that Manchester United defensive effort against Istanbul Basaksehir, I think there's a lot more to talk about that. Also, surprising leaders on the top of the leagues. Real Sociedad leading La Liga, AC Milan, top of Serie A. And Leicester and Tottenham not leading, but in the running for the EPL, 1 point behind Liverpool. So all of that in a little bit more detail, but as is going to be our norm, we'll just start off with some quick snapshots. First and foremost, shout out to the legend Diego Maradona. He suffered a brain clot this week and had to undergo brain surgery. So all the thoughts and prayers of the football world with this legend, and hopefully he recovers very, very soon. Always fun entertainment, Diego Maradona.
Yeah,
So.
never shy of any controversy.
True.
But it's not the first time that he's been in and out of the emergency room. So yeah, hope he gets out. Well, I believe he has.
Hopefully, yeah. Apparently his surgery went well. Also, another mention, much as it pains me to say, but a special mention to Nikola Barela for that sublime backheel volley assist to Lautaro Martinez for Inter's first goal against Madrid in the Champions League. Beautiful
Gorgeous.
goal. Good finish by Lautaro as well, actually, not just the assist.
Yeah.
And a not so special mention to Ferencvaros goalkeeper Dennis Dibusz, who, with the score at 2-1, went ahead to gift Paulo Dybala 2 late goals.
Yeah.
And
I'm absolutely thankful for him because Dybala has not really been on fire this season. He's low on confidence, so I'm very thankful for him.
But those howlers, very
Gaining.
very Loris Karius-esque.
I'm offended by that statement.
Yes. When was the last time we saw that in the Champions League? Absolutely, it was Loris
Yeah.
Karius.
Yeah, but we came back a year later. When did you guys come back?
Oh, ouch.
As in Juventus.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, noted.
this is your year.
At least we have better goalkeepers.
So those are the snapshots for the week, but let's just jump into the really interesting topics. So first of all, the Champions League drama. Liverpool going off for 5 against Atalanta, who surprisingly did not score. I mean, we've been talking, extensively about Atalanta's attacking prowess, and they did not score despite Liverpool missing Van Dijk and Matip and having Reece Williams, who's 19 years old, I think, in defense. So, Yehia, thoughts on that?
Can I just say what an amazing week it's been? No, but honestly, I think there's 2 factors in it. One of them is obviously we now have Alisson back. And you guys know Alisson is just amazing. Mm-hmm. He's very good coming off the line. He's a very good shot stopper. He's just excellent in anything you want in a goalkeeper. Yep. The second thing is that obviously that Van Dijk is not there. That has forced Liverpool to play a less deeper line. Mm-hmm. So, for example, when Aston Villa absolutely decimated Liverpool, we're playing a very high line, and we were. But the reason why we usually played that high line is because you could usually count on Van Dijk to run and get the ball. Mm-hmm. Now Van Dijk is out, so that means we need to be a little bit more conservative.
Right.
But the biggest example that how important he was, Zapata had a really good game, by the way.
Yeah.
He had an amazing game, but he just couldn't score just because of how Alisson was there every single time.
Yeah.
He got every single ball. I think one hit the post maybe, but other than that, Alisson was just there every single time.
Barring the Liverpool game, he's actually been having a really good season.
And you can see
assists.
He's a very smart player. Despite Liverpool, how they play, time and time again, he would make the right run, reach the through ball, get in a very good position and shoot. Yeah. The only thing is just Alisson would anticipate it and be there.
Right.
So I'm not surprised, honestly, about how well Atalanta are doing in the Italian league just because they have really good midfielders that feed the attack, and they have a very good attacker in Zapata.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And going back to what we mentioned last week, maybe a bit unfortunate to come up to, I think what we agree is probably the best goalkeeper in the world right now. Yeah. So you would say it was more about Alisson rather than that. So we didn't see those defensive frailties of missing your two main center backs.
Yeah, because this game could have very easily been 5-3.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something. It's very reminiscent of when Liverpool beat Roma 3 years back in the Champions League. And that game finished very close, like 6-4 or 5-3. I don't remember the exact score. But it's very reminiscent in the sense that Roma, and again, the same case here with Atalanta, they were both playing very high lines, which is suicidal against Liverpool. And Salah, Jota, and Mane just absolutely exploited that.
Right.
Salah missed 2 one-on-ones that he got. One of them is actually a corner, or maybe 2 of the goals were a corner. I don't exactly remember. But the point is that we are lethal on the counter-attack, and they just made it easy for us.
I think the second goal came from Alejandro Gomez, or Papu Gomez, as he's called in Italy. Corner, and then counter-attack.
And if you look
for
at
all the emphatic results that, let's say high-scoring results that Atalanta have had in the league, they've had a couple of blips also recently. Losing to Sampdoria 3-1, losing to Napoli 4-0 or 4-1, I can't remember. One of them was a home game against Sampdoria. So I think the first 2 goals from Liverpool were like mainly Liverpool really kind of like sucker punching them early on in the game, and then Atalanta trying to recover something from the game, just got caught at the back. Not taking anything away from Liverpool, but I think Atalanta are kind of trying to find their feet. That's one thing.
And we rated them. We've been rating them pretty highly in terms of offensive output. So obviously Liverpool's not an easy team to score against. But
I think they just lack. Their most experienced players are like obviously Ilicic, who didn't feature against Liverpool, and Papu Gomez and maybe Duvan Zapata to a certain extent. So they need a leader or two in that squad.
I think that's a very good point, because the best way to describe them, they're a very naive team.
Yeah.
Like you can get away with stuff like that in the league.
Yeah.
But it's not just Atalanta; it's in general. Yeah. Once you get into the Champions League and start playing, the biggest teams in Europe, you have to change the way you play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very few teams actually are able to play the same exact their game against all of the different teams. Like I cannot imagine, for example, a team that will play the same way against, let's say, Juventus, and then the same way against Barcelona.
Yeah.
You have to approach both games differently.
Yeah, you're right about being at this level of competition. You've got to acknowledge where your frailties are and address them. And in the case of Atalanta, obviously, maybe not as experienced in European competition as some of the teams they're coming up against. Definitely not as nowhere near Liverpool's heritage in the European competition. That's got to count for something.
Look at Yehia smiling.
Yes, I am.
So yeah, I mean, because Haytham, we spoke about in previous episodes about how potent they were, but this is just an example of where experience comes into play.
I think we'll probably see this Atalanta pattern throughout the rest of the season. So like some high-scoring games and some reality defeats.
It'll be interesting to see how they rebound. Before we move off of Liverpool, though, that was quite a performance from Jota.
Yeah.
He's really staking his claim in this team. Great signing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like Firmino, I don't know, is he on the bench
Actually,
from now on?
what I'm seeing that might be interesting, so they both give very, very different play styles, right? The way I've seen it actually described online, which is very interesting, Jota is very similar to, let's say, Fernando Torres, but he's attacking from the side.
Yeah.
Which is a very interesting take, and it actually makes sense because he's just so quick and so lethal in front of goal.
Yeah.
And honestly, I cannot believe he was on the bench in Wolves, and we got him for 40 million. And when we got him for 40 million, we were like, we're paying too much for a substitute.
Yeah, well,
I was like, we only paid 40 million.
He's showing his worth.
He is.
Needless to say.
He's really good. Yeah. About the Firmino point, so Firmino, nobody is going to be able to give you what Firmino gives. And I think it's just going to be a case of the team we are playing.
Yeah.
If we want to drag their defenders or if we just want to, run at them or whatever. So one way that this could fit is that Firmino could drop back to play a number 10 role. And then either Salah or Jota will be the number 9. But interestingly in Atalanta, and that's one of the reasons why they got absolutely battered, when it was the 3 of them up top, none of them were playing in a set role. They were all interchanging left, right, center, and so on. Yeah. So the defenders were all over the place. That was also another part. Like Salah would run, grab a couple of defenders with him. Mane would run to the other side. Jota's free.
That doesn't surprise me because, I mean, we've discussed this offline quite extensively in the past about how you have a bit of similarities between Firmino and Benzema, which not a lot of number nines. Maybe those two are two of a kind in world football. And the way that they drop deep, dictate play, and are more connecting rather than finishing up front. And if I were to compare it to Madrid, that's what Madrid did a lot with Cristiano Ronaldo in the squad. So you had Benzema always sort of dropping back, Ronaldo cutting in from the left, you had Bale cutting in from the right, and it was just sort of that always interchanging thing. And at that time, if I'm not mistaken, Isco was the main number 10, and it was just always switching around. And I think you can only do that right now in world football with Firmino or Benzema. I don't know. I can't think of anyone else.
This season. That's actually what Kane is doing.
He's started to do that now, this season.
Yeah, this season actually, yeah.
His over-the-top passes to Son have just been a delight to watch, to be very honest.
This season also you can start counting him in, which is, I guess Mourinho's trying to replicate what he did in Madrid.
I think so, yeah. So if Atalanta had a defensive disaster class, then that's nothing compared to Manchester United against Basaksehir. I have no idea what the hell that was, but for the first goal, there were no United players in their own half, and that was at 12 minutes. They were not pushing up for a winner. There was no United players in their first half, and Dembaba just went all alone. And the thing that really struck me about that, by the way, about United, even when that happened, the only player who even attempted to recover was Matic. Not any of the defenders. Tuanzebe and Maguire and Shaw and Wan-Bissaka, nowhere in sight. And then on the second one, Juan Mata dispossessed super easily. I felt for Maguire in that point because he had no choice but to leave his post. He had to cut in to cut off the attack. But if you look at the still of that play, you have 3 United defenders next to just on the right of the goalkeeper, and nobody on the left. And it was so funny to see that still. And I was like, where the hell is Luke Shaw? And which comes back to what a lot of United fans why they have an issue with him about not pulling his weight. Mm-hmm. That was just So
there was a video I think during the Arsenal match of Harry Maguire yelling at Luke Shaw get something along the lines with some expletives saying get yourself together, bro. Stand in place, stop moving away. And speaking of that Arsenal game, Man United posed 0 threat against Arsenal, and it seems like they continued that pattern against Istanbul. I mean, it was absolutely comical. I think Ole needs to go. Ole's at the wheel. I think he needs to drop the wheel, get out of the vehicle. Because,
but then that brings up the whole topic of, does the coach have to take all the responsibility?
I mean,
he does have to take responsibility.
He does have to take
somewhat of the
responsibility. And I don't know, controversial statement. Pogba has been awful. I mean, he's
that's not very controversial.
I know.
That's not very controversial,
right?
No, seriously.
Personally,
I'll tell you the same.
I love Pogba. I really like his style. I like the way he plays. I think he's a great player, very talented. But I don't want to sound like a butthurt Juve fan, but. Ever since, I think he could have gone on to bigger things had he stayed at Juventus instead of going to Man United. He won the Europa League, he won an FA Cup, correct me if I'm wrong. What else did he win? I don't know.
World Cup.
World Cup with France. Yeah, I'm talking about Man United at the club level. So,
if that's the case...
There's something fundamentally wrong there.
Yeah,
Harry Maguire hasn't been the same since that whole debacle he had in the summer as well. I don't know. There's something wrong with.
But to your point
about
Ole, sorry to interrupt you, but because I want to stop on this point. If Pogba is the issue, if he's not having
he's not the issue.
He's not the issue, but if he is part of, if he's really not having a good season, and then you went and you made this massive signing in Donny van de Beek because it was thought that he could be somehow coexist with him and he could cover for him when he was not there. But Donny van de Beek hasn't, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel he hasn't really been given that chance.
No, he's not playing it. I think it's he was brought in to replace Pogba. And you can confirm this or not, but basically the rumor mill is that Juve was going to sign or make a big offer for Pogba this summer, but then Corona came, so they didn't. So they're probably United is gearing up to lose him eventually. and maybe they're just giving Van der Beek enough time to actually get acclaimed to the club and the team and so on.
Possibly.
But I mean,
he's
honestly,
a brilliant player, though. He's really good. He's very, very, very smart kid. He's very young. He could really. I thought that he was.
Talking about Van de Beek.
Van de Beek, yeah. I thought Van de Beek was a good signing for United. I thought he could really bring a missing element to them, and especially with Fernandes really pushing this team forward.
but
with
you know,
this
it's
type of
actually
play.
better for him not to play. Because
How
if
so?
you think about it, when Fred first came in, he started playing immediately, and then he was absolutely thrown on the side because, you know, he wasn't really performing up to standards, blah, 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 and stuff like that. So it's like you're throwing him into the fire, and United isn't really performing that well.
But United are faced with a situation where, for a club of their stature and what they've been through so far, they cannot delay anymore. They need to turn it around right
But
now.
we've been saying that for the last 10 years. I mean,
That's right.
the reality
Right now.
is if we're going to the source of the issue, United's management or ownership does not care about how the team is performing as long as they're getting into the Champions League. Not every year, every 2 years.
Yeah.
And that's because of the contract they have with their sponsors, where if they're out of the Champions League for 2 consecutive years, then they get less money. And that's something we've actually seen a trend of, where every single time United do not make the Champions League, they spend so much in the summer. Next year they get in the Champions League, and then surprise, surprise, they don't spend again that much in the summer.
Yeah.
It's just so what's going to happen is Ole is going to get fired. They're already lining up Pochettino,
yeah.
which will be an amazing signing for them. They'll play well, probably get into the Champions League next year, but then the year after he's not going to get the support. And I don't know, maybe in Spurs he was able to build a squad to last 5 years without much additions, so maybe he can do it again.
Yeah.
But realistically speaking, he's not going to be getting the support.
Look, I mean, not to dwell too much on the United topic, but I think that's a very interesting point to discuss. I think Pochettino would be an amazing signing for United. Why? First of all, he's an excellent coach. That goes without saying. It's a league that he's extremely familiar with. He doesn't need to adapt. He's got creative players on the team, which he loves to thrive off of, and he's got potent attackers. So what I used to feel with him in Tottenham, which was like why they were so enjoyable to watch, is because they had very potent attackers and very creative players behind them. And even if you look out on the side, someone like Eric Lamela, he used to rely on him coming off the bench, admittedly, but he was very that type of creative winger,
But
you know, which you don't see much.
He didn't really
you know.
rely on him much.
He was his first sub always.
Ah, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
There was just that 1 year where
He
was
would get him in.
right?
Yeah, he would get him in to sometimes to change the game for him. It was him and Lucas Moura.
Yeah.
So I think United are already set up with the kind of players that a coach like Pochettino would like to have, and he would thrive off of. So it would be interesting. I think he would be. I feel he would do well.
So yeah, I agree with you. But then again, you know, you had Van Gaal, you had Mourinho. The best they were able to do, I think, I don't remember if Van Gaal did reach second place or not. But with Mourinho, there was a second place finish, which was an overachievement. I mean, he said it, and since then we can see it's actually true. Obviously, Ole is not the right person. He just got the job because he did well in that season, and basically, you know, he kept them in the Champions League and stuff. So, and
He
the
had
fans
that
are happy.
I mean, yeah, he kicked off with that 12-game undefeated or something like that, and then it was kind of...
And
Yeah,
the
so
fans
like
are
he
happy.
can
from
do
there.
it. He could do it.
No,
It's just-
but I don't think he can do it because
He's faced with too many obstacles, both
but
from
it-
the management, both from the way the club's being run, from the players. Sometimes maybe not, also like dropping the ball in quite a few
But
cases.
I actually don't agree with that because if you let's say so if Mourinho, if you're comparing to Mourinho, right? If Mourinho is having a bad year, why does he keep getting hired? It's because he actually has, you know, the resume and success to prove that he is a good coach.
Yeah.
Say, why is Pochettino being talked about amazingly right now when he had such an absolutely bad... Actually, you know what? The season he got fired and the season before, he was so bad. Tottenham was playing so bad. The only thing that saved him was the fact they reached the Champions League final. So, but why is he now talked about so in such glowing manners? Because you could see the change, you could see what he's doing. Nothing in Ole's career says he's a good manager. with the exception of qualifying to the Champions League, which is more, I believe, honestly, it's less about how good United were and more about how bad everybody else was.
Mm-hmm. It's a interesting. No, it's an interesting point of view. I think we could discuss it for days and days. I mean, especially because from my perspective, Pochettino also had a different team. Not from, and I mean, he still had a lot of the most common players who were top players, but from Christian Eriksen moving out and Ndombele coming in, but his core is still the same as Pochettino's core. It's Sissoko, Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, Lucas Moura to a certain extent, Alderweireld. It's that core is still the same, also, but they're playing so well.
Not sure if I'm influenced by the Amazon documentary of Tottenham Hotspur, but at least having that visibility on Tottenham Hotspurs as a club. Mm-hmm. They're a club with an objective and a goal, and which is very clear. We want to become a top 2, eventually a Premier League winning club. Man United, I have no idea what their objective is, and I don't know where they're going, and it's just an absolute train wreck of a club. Every season, there's these new grassroots players in the club coming in. They look exciting. A big signing or two come in, and things look interesting, and then it's just like...
Yeah.
I mean, to Ole's credit, he did bring through a lot of youth players. Yeah. To his credit, that is one of the very...
And if I were a Man United fan, I'd find that fun and exciting to watch. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean,
you're right.
As a grassroots kind of person.
Yeah. Interesting. Let's see if they're able to turn it around. And I mean, if Pochettino comes in and Ole goes out, that's going to be quite a shake-up. Yeah. But I think we can cover that when it happens. So moving on. So the top leagues, as I mentioned before, having some interesting leaders. Starting off with La Liga. So Haytham, you had mentioned to me. You said what's happening with Real Sociedad? They're leading the league. Now, if I'm going to be very nitpicky, Real Madrid do have a game in hand. Okay. and Atletico have 2. And if they were to win those games, Sociedad would be third. However, that's not to take away from what they've done. Mikel Oyarzabal having a cracking start to the season. 5 goals and 2 assists so far in 8 games. For me, what's really clicking for Sociedad is that they built that chemistry over the last couple seasons, which was a really good chemistry. And I really thought that because Odegaard had such a great season last year that he was maybe a vital cog in that and that they might lose something with him. But who replaced him? David Silva. And that really goes to show how important experience is. So Odegaard was a very good player, but he was very inexperienced. Mm-hmm. David Silva is just like, he's like a metronome. Yeah. You know?
He was one of my dream players to have at Juve a long time ago. I mean, not a big Man City fan, but like I used to enjoy watching Man City just to watch him play. Because
it was Valencia before, no?
And with Valencia, obviously, before that.
So, I mean, look, they have, Oyarzabal, who's having a good season. Porto, also a very good, strong
Scored
attacking.
last night against Alkmaar.
Yeah, he's a very good attacking player. Yeah. But David Silva coming in, pulling the strings, that's working for them. So they're doing well. They will challenge, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be surprised if they actually won the league, but definitely looks like a top 3
They'll
finish.
challenge. I don't think they'll win. I think they will drop off maybe at some point because that's what tends to happen with teams in Spain who are outside the top 3. So
who do you think is going to win?
Do I really need to say it?
Barcelona, right?
Oh.
Right now, they need to be worried about getting back into the Champions League places. That's what they need to be worried about.
Yeah, they're going to focus on the league and forget about the Champions League.
Yeah, well, they should probably focus on the Champions League and not focus on the league. Well, they're undefeated in the Champions League. They're on their way.
Yeah, but I mean, it's an easy group. They only have Juventus with them. Who else?
Right. And Dynamo Kiev. Right, point taken.
When they go to Kiev, let's see how they do it.
Listen, we may be Champions League chokers, but we're rarely group stage chokers. So you can wait till the semi-finals, maybe. No, honestly, and then you can call us chokers. We're definitely chokers.
I was just laughing about the Kiev thing because, like, you had mentioned that so you have these like countries that are always difficult to go to, like Russia, Ukraine, and Turkey, and it's like it's that thing that they say in the Premier League, like when they're talking about a player, but can he do it on a cold, wet night in Stoke?
In East Europe.
So now it's like, can he do it in East Europe?
Yeah, but Madrid drew with also an Eastern European team, right?
Yeah,
At home.
With the
So you didn't even get the chance to travel there.
No, we didn't. And that's I'm absolutely horrified by
the way,
prospect.
Shakhtar lost, what, 6-2 to Mönchengladbach?
Yeah, it was a ridiculous score, yeah.
Mönchengladbach went off on them. No, but this is what's...
And they had the 10 players missing.
This is what's
Or
scaring,
9 players missing.
what's scaring me right now, because we still have to go play Inter. We still have to go away to Shakhtar.
You'll beat Inter.
And then we have to play Mönchengladbach, who just scored 6.
Yeah.
I will be horrified if we end up playing Europa League. I don't know. If we end up in the Europa League, I'm calling it. Anyways. So
I mean, it's the only trophy you guys haven't won in a long time.
yeah.
So
I like the silver lining, but no, it's not working for me. I was calling for a treble this year. Yeah, you don't understand. Now you're talking to me
it's
about the
still a
Europa
treble
League.
if you win the Europa
No,
League.
it's not. It's not. Okay. Yeah, so that was it for on La Liga, and then also in Serie A, AC Milan. I'm not going to go ahead of myself and say back to their glory days because it's still very early, but Zlatan, the immortal top scorer of the league,
Yep.
they're 2 points, and they're leading 2 points over Sassuolo, which, speaking of evergreen strikers, Francesco Caputo, 5 goals at 33 years old.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. So Sassuolo are kind of like the second version of Atalanta, by the way. And there are a lot of players, or a few players rather, in the last few years that have actually crossed both sides. For example, Atalanta's goalkeeper. They've actually switched goalkeepers. So Sportiello was at Sassuolo and Consigli was at the other way. Anyhow, a few others. But yeah, I mean, Italian strikers and age is very commonplace. You had Luca Toni with Verona score at the age of like 37, scoring, being the top scorer.
There was Antonio Di Natale.
There's Toto Di Natale.
Udinese, was it?
Yeah, at Udinese, just couldn't stop scoring. Now you have Fabio Quagliarella, who's I think equal to Zlatan's scoring record. So I mean,
not an attacker, but also Zanetti. Wasn't he playing until he was like 40?
Yeah, you've had Zanetti. I mean, if you go back to, for example, we'll rewind the clock back to 2002. Before the World Cup, the top scorer of the Italian league, next to Roberto Baggio at Brescia at the time, was Dario Hübner. And that guy was also like 35, 36 years old. Yeah, you guys are wondering who?
Yeah.
yeah, he looked like an old man, but he had like 25 goals or something like that. So
Which at the time was quite a high output.
Which at the time was a high output. And
before Ronaldo and Messi made a 50-goal season the norm. I mean, 25 goals was quite good.
Yeah, it was, yeah. So...
So there's something about these evergreen strikers.
And Sassuolo, speaking of projects earlier, like I mentioned with Tottenham, Sassuolo have had an interesting project. I mean, they got promoted from Serie B and then kind of never looked back.
Yeah.
So they're actually an interesting side to follow. Mm-hmm. They've had Domenico Berardi with them, who was kind of highly rated, overrated. I don't know, the debate is still out there on him. Juventus owned him for a while, but he never joined Juventus in that co-ownership kind of thing. And I mean, they're still surviving, and they're doing very well. They play very nice football, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're the next version of Atalanta by acquiring a few players.
Caputo has always been quite a potent scorer, hasn't he? I mean, yeah, he did have some time in. I think he was with Empoli. I think he was in the Serie B. Yeah. But he's always been quite a proficient striker. But his name has never really been always up there with like the.
Yeah, I think
so. It might be his way of staking his claim. You know, like. This is how I'm going to.
I think when these strikers age, they kind of get used to they kind of figure out how to evade defenders. They improve on their positioning, and that experience really plays in at the ripe age of 33 all of a sudden, and then they just start scoring 18, 20, 22 goals a season.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Can I just mention that for some reason AC Milan is my favorite team in the Italian league? And I don't know why. I think it was since, mid-2000s when Ancelotti was still there. Yeah, but I mean, they had really good players. It was such a good team.
They were a legendary team.
Yeah, they were. And I'm actually surprised. Well, I'm not too surprised as you would think. But, I'm actually surprised they didn't win more Serie A titles. They should have. To be honest,
they should have. They were arguably the best team in the world in that time period.
But Juventus beat them, so...
And if you look at the Champions League output, are they tied with Liverpool for a number of Champions League?
I think after our last win,
You overtook them, I think. Yeah, 6-5 maybe.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're tied with Barcelona now. Is it 6-6? And then you guys with your cheating Champions League like 12 or something.
This podcast is not a history lesson.
When it was like two teams.
It's not a historical. It's not a history political lesson. Talking about we'll get into the whole Franco regime now.
It's okay. You said it, so.
I will not comment on that.
It was black and white. It doesn't count.
I will not comment on that. They won 13, won at fair and square.
Just to be clear, that was banter. That wasn't my opinion.
I mean,
yeah. If you look at pre Champions League era, by the way,
okay,
there was a lot of teams at the time who have won the European Cup at the time, which are really mediocre teams now. So it's very interesting to see how the times change. But some of the teams are just there from the very beginning, namely Liverpool, Milan, Real Madrid.
I mean, if you think about it quickly, it's kind of sad. Just because, you had Celtic won it, you had Leeds actually won it, Nottingham Forest. I don't remember if Aston Villa also won it or not.
Villa won it, yeah.
They did, right?
Yeah.
So you had a lot of really good teams back then, and it's kind of sad because we won't be seeing that again because of how much money is pumped into, let's say, the big four leagues, right? Plus the gap between, first division and second division, and then you have clubs because there were a lot of also Eastern European teams that also wanted. I just can't remember at the top of my head.
I think Red Star or
something like that. Yeah. But
Steaua Bucharest.
Yes, remember back
which
then.
I believe is a dissolved club right now, or they're in the fourth division in Romania.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh God.
They had some huge problems there.
But I mean, if you think about it, it's like these teams back in, let's say, the 60s or 70s, they were proper feared. They were like the pinnacle of football in general. A lot of the tactical innovations came from there. I don't remember the name of the coach, but I mean, those teams were really, really highly regarded, which you'll never see anymore because just the money isn't there, which is kind of sad. But on the plus side, we do get the Champions League, which is fun to watch.
But so was Real Madrid, even without your political conspiracy theory.
It was like four teams competing.
Ever
doesn't count.
Okay. Ever heard of a guy called Alfredo Di Stefano, considered widely regarded as one of the best players ever?
Uruguay won I don't know how many World Cups when it was just two teams competing for the World Cup.
That was 1930.
Exactly.
30.
Exactly. That's my point. Like you're going, we've won the World Cup when it was only two teams.
We've won it twice, 1930 and 1934. Yeah. Awesome. So, let's wrap it up with the EPL. So, obviously, you're very happy. Liverpool are leading. But Leicester are quietly going about their business. 1 point behind, and Tottenham 1 point behind Leicester.
Emphatic win against Leeds United.
It's heating up. It's heating up. I'm enjoying the Premier League this year. So, which of these two, between Tottenham and Leicester, are in the long run more likely to challenge? I mean, Liverpool. For me, if you ask me, I think Leicester. I said this before. They have a huge reliance on Jamie Vardy, who's getting along in age. He tends to get these injuries now every couple weeks in the league, and then I always feel they don't have a replacement for his goals really. So, but Tottenham, there's a lot more depth, and also it's the famous Mourinho second season. So that there's that theory that Mourinho wins something every time he's in his second season with a club.
Or at least overachieves if you look at United's second season.
Not sure if pedigree counts here, or legacy, so to speak, but Leicester City still have some of the class of 2016 players. They got Schmeichel, they got Albrighton, they've got obviously Jamie Vardy in there. Not sure if I've missed out anyone else, but I got my money on Tottenham Hotspur. I mean, I don't think Leicester City will.
There is more of a reliance on Tielemans and Maddison as well, but they don't pick. They're not the type of players who will pick up the goal scoring slack. you know. So for example,
They
with
got
Tottenham,
Iheanacho on the bench. Remember
Yeah,
him?
they do.
if he can
And he
turn
scores
it-
goals.
yeah, if he can.
But
pick
here's
it
the
up,
thing:
then-
if you're saying if Leicester loses Vardy, they're not going to perform. If Tottenham loses Kane, they're not going to perform.
Not true, because they've performed without Kane. They didn't perform. I mean, I respectfully disagree because they didn't perform when they had multiple injuries. So when they had Kane, Son had the broken arm, Lucas Moura was struggling. They had to bring Bergwijn in because they had nobody, you know. But when Kane goes down, you do have Son picking up the slack. Now you have Gareth Bale, who can also be a goal scoring threat.
The thing is,
Lucas Moura sometimes plays as a striker. They have a bit of depth.
But the thing is, it's like when you lose players of that quality, your performance will go down regardless. If you're able to adapt, and that's the challenge to the coach, then yeah. But
True.
it will be a loss either way.
But yeah, it's going to be a loss, but it's like you said, it's how you adapt. I feel Tottenham have more depth to adapt than Leicester do.
So, I don't know. I mean, it will come down to injuries like who performs better. I don't think, honestly, either of them is going to be challenging Liverpool. I still firmly believe it's going to be City. City have a game in hand. If they win it, they're only 2 points behind.
Right.
So I genuinely still believe it's City. City is the team that we have to keep an eye on if we're gonna win the league again. Now, if I'm talking about the rest of the top four, honestly, I do think it's gonna be two of either you're right, Leicester, Tottenham, or Arsenal. I don't think Chelsea or United are gonna make it this year.
Everton.
No, Everton, no.
I love throwing Everton in his face.
Okay, fine. Yeah, Everton.
Since they drew to us, they lost
Between
2 games.
Arsenal
I think.
and Chelsea, who would you
Arsenal.
really?
Arteta's doing really well. The
he's doing a
players
good
in
job.
Chelsea are better. Arteta as a manager is much
That's
better
my
than
point.
Lampard.
Man for man. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously not everybody,
Chelsea
but man
and
for man,
United
Chelsea are
are
better.
both man for man better teams than Arsenal.
Okay.
Leicester, it's probably at the same level of Chelsea is better. Probably Leicester is better than United and Arsenal. But Arteta is really good. Like if you watch the United game, extremely boring by the way.
It was
But
very
the
boring.
organization of that team, that team, I don't know how to explain it. They're very. I think because obviously he was under Guardiola in City, so he really understands the pressing game really well. Arsenal is a very good pressing resistant team. They're really good at switching it up. He's kind of forcing them to play from the back now and keep it short, but they're still not shy to do the long balls similar to what Liverpool do, and just allow Lacazette, Aubameyang, and Saka to just run.
Yeah, I agree, but at the same time, Chelsea have had such an overhaul in summer. They haven't really had time to gel as well.
I agree with
their
you.
whole front line and midfield has changed.
I agree with you, but the thing is, Chelsea don't have a defense, and I do not remember the last time a team won the Premier League without a good defense.
Yeah,
Like that year when we came very not very close actually, when we reached the final of the Champions League. We were doing really well in the Premier League, but the defense was barely existent.
Yeah.
And only when we got Van Dijk and then the defense started to actually become solid, that's when we were able to go all the way second with a difference of 1 point and won the Champions League.
Right.
You need a solid defense. Chelsea don't have it, and for some reason they're still adapting for everything. So their attacking is sometimes there, it's sometimes not there. Even the attacking consistency they used to have last year is not really there this year.
yeah. I mean, again, I think it's one of those things where they just need time to gel. I mean, maybe it turns out that it's a failed, project, but you can't deny the talent is there. Kai Havertz,
The talent is there.
Timo Werner,
Yes, very amazing
Hakim
players.
Ziyech has been amazing.
He has one of the best squads in the Premier League is Chelsea. I think it comes down to a question of is Lampard good enough or not. So I think he's done enough last year to be given enough time to see it out.
Yeah.
But I still don't think he's shown enough to show that he's a top coach, for example.
Right.
Because if you imagine any of the other top coaches, let's say imagine Pochettino with that squad. Like you were talking about United, imagine in Chelsea.
Yeah, true. Well, I mean, back to Tottenham. Another really good addition was the double swoop from Madrid. So the Reguilon, Bale. I dare say Reguilon better signing for them than Bale. He's been amazing. He's been absolutely massive. He's dislodged Ben Davies, which is saying something because Mourinho really I think he used to really like Ben Davies. They're very different style of play though. Reguilon is a lot more attacking, and maybe that just fits into the system that Mourinho's implemented now, and that also fits in with Harry Kane's new role, which is to drop back and let the wingers run up and take over these incisive over the top balls. So I think the EPL is going to be a really nice battle this year. It's not a 14 battle. It's not even a 16 battle. It's like an 18 battle for Champions Leagues. So that's going to be really interesting. So yeah, that covers pretty much all of our topics for the week. We're going into the weekend. We should be having some more to say after this next 2 days when the games get played. Thanks guys again. Really appreciate you guys coming on. I'm glad that you've been joining ever since we started. It's been a lot of fun. It's been really engaging. Likewise. And thank you to the listeners. We've been getting a lot of good feedback. And we're waiting for you guys to keep listening in, hitting that subscribe button. And we'll be seeing you all again very, very soon. Have a nice day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.